Hi there, everyone. This is Diane Kleber, VP of Sales from GiveSmart, and I have with me today Ron Rescigno from Rescigno's Fundraising Professionals. Thanks for joining me, Ron.
You're very welcome.
This is wonderful. You know, Ron and I have been talking, and we thought, hey, let's get together and take this time to record a little piece because we're sharing in some similar conversations. But before we get into that, Ron, tell everybody, I'd love to start just by having you tell everybody, what does Rescigno's Fundraising Professionals do for the nonprofits out there?
Okay, be glad to. So we are fundraising professionals in the sense we work on two different fronts. We actually do, the majority of the work we do is in the annual fund. Mm-hmm. So we help organizations with their ask, with telling the story, and with the design, print, and mail of their solicitation appeals, either direct mail or online. The other part of what we do is we are consultants to nonprofits. So we help them with the data, the analytics. Are you mailing to the right people at the right time with the right message? Wonderful. Donor retention, new donor acquisition. So anything that would kind of encompass what the annual fund is all about is how we work with people. And that's really important today with everything that's going on with this pandemic in terms of continuing to communicate not only with your donors, especially with your donors, but with prospects as well.
That's wonderful, because that's exactly the question I have for you. You know, we work with thousands of nonprofits across the country, and they're in this interesting situation where they don't know what to do. And they're asking us the question, you know, it's an uncertain time. Should we be asking our donors, you know, whether it's an appeal like you describe, a virtual event or a text to donate, like we help folks with, like, is now the time? Should we be asking? What are your thoughts on that?
So the way I respond to others who have asked me that same question, a lot of our clients, is there is no better time to be asking than now. And so what we learned back in 2007 through 2009, the time of what they call the Great Recession, what happened then was most nonprofits absolutely stopped marketing, stopped fundraising. So they basically, what they did was they became invisible to their donors and to their prospects. When you try to go back to those donors after a period of invisibility, you more or less risk becoming irrelevant. And that's what happened with a lot of nonprofits. They slashed their budgets, they didn't communicate with their donors or prospects, and they had a lot of catching up to do. And we estimate 12 to 18 months of catching up to do before they could regain some of those supporters that they once had. Wow. And it's the organizations that continued to communicate during that time that really drew their donors in even closer to them.
Oh, that's fantastic. And so that's kind of what we're seeing as well, that a lot of the organizations who are proceeding with their fundraising, they're getting donors who are really passionate about the cause and saying, absolutely, I want to help. So I think the question though comes up is how do we ask in a time like this? What is the best way to position, you know, ourselves for an ask at this time?
So I think what you need to do is reassure donors that you are there for them in the good times and in the not so good times. And you want to, before you're even asking, you want to be solicitous of them in terms of, how are you? Is everything okay in your life? How are you doing? Is there anything we can do, we the organization that you support, to help you? Do you have a need right now? And after you express that need the way you would with a friend, you then can go into the idea of making the ask. And you do that by reaffirming that the need is there, both in good times and in bad, as I said. And it's through the story that you tell that this individual, there are still people who need to be fed, who are poor. If you're working at a social service kind of an organization, there are still people who need to get scholarships if you're if you work at an educational institution. So it's reaffirming the need both in good times and bad.
That's fantastic. I think you're spot on there. I mean, I know personally, I have a number of organizations that I support, and at this time, I'm watching what's going on in that organization and ready to give. You know, even without asking, I think I'm going to make a donation because I know the population they serve and how important it is for them to stay functioning, right? And not being afraid to ask, right?
That's right. And, you know, we're all hunkered down in our homes these days, and we're saying to our loved ones, gee, I wish I could help. I'm not quite sure how I could help. Reach out to those people, express the need, express how people are in need, maybe even more so now. People are ready and willing to give. They just need to know what the cause is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I always say, and I'm sure you're in the same camp as me here, like, you know, yes, you may get some no's, right?
Absolutely.
But you can't get any yeses if you don't ask.
Right. And
Right.
the way I like to say that is, as long as somebody's not saying to you that I will never give to you, they're not saying no forever. So you make note of that, and you come back to them at another time, maybe with a different ask, maybe for a different need that your organization has, and that might strike a chord with an individual, and you take it from there. And you never know who's going to give to what particular cause.
That's terrific. No, that's great. And you know, one final question I have for you, Ron, is for those folks that, I mean, yes, if we ask now, right? My organization needs the funds in order to survive now. When would be the next time to ask? Is there a timing formula that works really well, or just when the need arises?
Well, typically, what we find a lot of nonprofits are doing right now is, instead of what they call a typical spring appeal,
Mhm.
they're kind of, the word today is pivoting from a spring appeal to a crisis appeal.
Okay.
So then the next time to ask, if you're asking in late March, early April, the next time to ask again would probably be mid to late summer. Maybe
Mhm.
that's, or it's your fall appeal.
Mhm.
That's the typical spacing between asks. Different organizations do it differently.
Sure.
So it could be 6 asks during the course of a year. It could be 3, depending on the organization. But one of the things I'd like to just offer is, if anybody's having trouble with putting an ask together,
Mhm.
you know, if Diane, you have my email, if you would just
Absolutely.
pass that on to people,
I sure
in
will.
terms of, I'm happy to take a look at your letters. That's one of the services that we do offer: copy editing and copywriting, and be happy to look at that at no charge.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Ron. What a great offer. I mean, we're just trying to help as many people as we can right
That's
now.
right.
We're doing at GiveSmart, same thing. I mean, we agree with you. Doing multiple campaigns throughout the year, you know, even with a technology like GiveSmart, you have the ability to do that, to reach out that 3 times or 6 times a year, like you said. So we concur. That's a great practice. Well, Ron, thank you so much. I don't want to take a lot of your time, but just wanted to have this quick chat. Really appreciate your time today and your efforts as we're all out there trying to help nonprofits.
Well, thanks for asking. I appreciate it. And to everybody out there, please stay well.
Thanks.
And thank you.